دغا کوفیوں نے گھر میں بلائے سب پھر گئے جن لوگوں کے دعوے تھے وفا کے لاکھوں ہے عدو کدھر جان بچا کے آفت میں گرفتار ہوئے کوفے میں یاور نہیں ہمدم نہیں غمخوار نہیں ہے نرغے میں ہے کوئی مددگار نہیں ہے کیست دغا کوفیوں درود پڑھیے محمد آل محمد
صلی اللہ محمد
درود پڑھیے محمد آل
صلی اللہ محمد
درود پڑھیے محمد آل محمد اجل کو ایسی ملی زندگی حسین کے بعد اجل کو ایسی ملی زندگی حسین کے بعد کہ جو فنا تھی وہ بقا بن گئی حسین کے بعد جل کو ایسی ملی زندگی حسین کے بعد وہی ہے سلسلہ رہبری حسین کے بعد نبی کے بعد علی تھے علی حسین کے درود پڑھیے محمد محمد و آل محمد. وہی ہے سلسلہ رہبری حسین کے بعد، نبی کے بعد علی سے علی حسین کے بعد بنی ہے خاک شفا تیری خاک کر وہ بلا، یہ برتری تجھے حاصل ہوئی حسین کے بعد، اجل کو ایسی ملی زندگی حسین تھی ایک سر کی طلب اور کیے 72 پہ، جہاں میں ہوگا نہ ایسا سخی حسین کے بعد، سکینہ ہجرے پدر میں گئی گزر گئی جہاں سے، سکینہ ہجرے پدر میں گئی گزر گئی جہاں سے، نجی حسین کی وہ لاڈلی حسین کے اجل کو ایسی ملی زندگی حسین کے مجاہد اس میں نہ تھا کچھ بھی عاشقی کے سوا، بنی ہے نصرت حق شاعری حسین کے بعد، اجل کو ایسی ملی زندگی حسین کے بعد، اجل کو ایسی ملی زندگی. درود پڑھیے محمد. فاتحہ. انسان کے لیے موت ہے غم بے وطنی کا، انسان کے لیے موت ہے غم بے وطنی کا، جاتا ہے اندوہ علم بے وطنی کا، صدمہ نہیں کچھ موت سے کم بے وطنی کا، آفت ہے قیامت ہے ستم بے وطنی کا، کانٹوں کے علم سید سجاد سے پوچھو ایذائے صبر مسلم ناشاد سے پوچھو ایذائے سفر مسلم ناشاد سے پوچھو کی سخت دغا کوفیوں نے گھر میں بلا کے سب پھر گئے جن لوگوں کے دعوے تھے وفا کے لاکھوں ہیں اردو جائیں کدھر جان بچا کے آفت میں گرفتار ہوئے کوفے میں آ کے یاور نہیں ہمدم نہیں غمخوار نہیں مددگار نہیں ہے نرغے میں ہے اور کوئی مددگار نہیں ہے منہ کر کے سوئے چرخ کہا شور خدایا راحت ہے یہ بندے نے جو کچھ ظلم اٹھایا غم یہ ہے کہ ہے دور یداللہ حق جایا شبیر کے ہاتھوں سے کفن ہم نے نہ پایا دنیا سے سوئے خود کوئی دم میں سفر ہے یہاں ہم پہ جو کچھ بن گئی کیا ان کو خبر ہے یہ کہتے تھے مسلم کے لعینوں نے قذارا ایک سنگ ستم اس لبے مجروح پہ مارا ریش اور گریباں میں لہو بھر گیا سارا جب حال یہ پہنچا تو کہاں جنگ کا یارا آدھا سے کہا دل میں ذرا رحم کو جا دو غش آتا ہے پانی مجھے تھوڑا سا پلا دو کب سنتے تھے بے کس کا سخن سخن ظلم کے بانی تھے قتل کی تدبیر میں وہ دو من جانی لے آئی ضعیفہ وہیں ایک جام میں پانی قسمت نے مگر بجھنے نہ دی تشنہ دہانی سوکھی ہوئی تھی گل سی زباں خشک گلو تھا اس پانی کو منہ سے جو لگایا تھا لہو تھا اس پانی کو منہ سے جو لگایا لہو تھا، دشمن تو کئی سو تھے، یہ بے یار و مددگار، برچھی کبھی پڑتی تھی کبھی پڑتی تھی تلوار، اندوہ پہ اندوہ تھے، آزار پہ آزار، کس یاسے کے ایک کا منہ تکتے تھے ہر بار، بازو کو ستمگار جو باندھے تھے رسن سے، فوار خون چھٹتا تھا ہر میں بدن سے، حلق سلب بام جو لائے ان صفار، تر آنسوؤں سے ہو گیا مسلم کا رخ پاک، فریاد سوئے کعبہ کی بات، دل غمناک روحی بفدائک ہے پسر سید لولا، کرتا ہے سفر خلق سے غم خار تمہارا، موقوف ہے اب حشر پہ دیدار تمہارا، موقوف ہے اب حشر پہ دیدار تمہارا، انسان کے لیے موت ہے۔ مولا کو غم دے آپ کو سبحان محمد
جملہ محمد السلام علیکم جعلی مدد۔ چند ضروری علامات سماعت فرما لیں۔ سب سے پہلے آپ کو جیسے پتہ ہے کہ ویڈنسڈے کو عید الاضحیٰ ہے، جو کہ ٹھیک 8:30 بجے دعائے نخبہ اور 9 بجے نماز شروع ہوگی۔ نماز کی ادائیگی مولانا خطیب صاحب کریں گے۔ اور ایک اور خاص اعلان جو ریکویسٹ کی ہے شیر اصغر بھائی نے، آپ لوگوں کو جیسے پتہ ہے فاطمہ کمیونٹی کو پچھلے دنوں ان کے بھائی کی وفات ہو گئی تھی، تو اس سلسلے میں جون 14 کو شیر اصغر بھائی نے یہاں 40واں کی مجلس منعقد کی ہے، اور ریکویسٹ کی ہے کہ آپ سب لوگ زیادہ سے زیادہ تعداد میں آئیں، اور اس مجلس سے مولانا ماہر حسین صاحب خطاب فرمائیں گے۔ اور آخر میں حیدر ظفر اور آقا طیب موسوی کا تہہ دل سے مشکور ممنون ہوں کہ آپ نے میری ایک کال پہ لبیک کہا، اور مولا آپ کا اس کو رزق میں اضافہ فرمائے۔ آپ کسی تاخیر کے مولانا سے زیب دنبر ہو، بآواز بلند نعرہ صلوات۔
Before we begin, we recite Surah Fatiha for your marhumin, for the marhumin of all of those individuals that do not have anyone to recite Surah Fatiha on their behalf, and khususan for all of the shuhada of Fiqh Jafariya. Bismillah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي لا يبلغ مدته القائلون ولا يحصينا معه العادون ولا يؤدي حقه المجتهدون، الذي لا يدركه بهد الهمم ولا يناله غوث الفتن، الذي ليس لصفاته حد محدود ولا نعت موجود ولا وقت محدود ولا أجل ممدود، فترى الخلائق بقدرته ونشر الرياح برحمته ووتد بالسخر ميدان أرض ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وحبيبنا وحبيب رب العالمين بالقاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيت الطيبين الطاهرين واللعن على أدائهم من يوم أول ظلمهم إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه المبين وقوله الحق: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يؤتي الحكمة من يشاء ومن يؤتى الحكمة فقد أوتي خيرا كثيرا وما يذكر إلا أولو الألباب. صدق الله العلي العظيم. Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As you're all aware, I know we're commemorating the Shahadat of Hazrat Muslim today. We're commemorating the Shahadat of Imam Baqir alayhi salam, and we're also commemorating the Rawanagi of Karwana of Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam from Makkah. And what's common in all three of them is that Imam Baqir alayhi salam from Makkah to Medina, from Medina to Karbala, from Karbala to Kufa, from Kufa to Sham, and from Sham back to Medina. Imam Baqir alayhi salam, he lived through all of these events. How old was Imam Baqir alayhi salam? When we speak about the children, when it comes to the events of Karbala, most of the time we speak about Hazrat Sakina. Lady Sakina, she lived through that, yes. She was 6 years old. But Imam Baqir alayhi salam, he also lived through it. Lady Sakina, she passed away in Sham. Imam Baqir alayhi salam, he came back from Sham. This is that one Imam. At the age of 3, at the age of 4, he sees all of these events happen in front of him. At the age of 4. Can you imagine a child at the age of 4 see his whole family get martyred in front of him? Can you imagine a child at the age of 4, the tents that they were in, inshallah, at the end we'll talk about, the tents that they were in, they get burnt down. At the age of 4, this child is being put in handcuffs and is being dragged around. Imam Baqir alayhi salam lived through all of this. Imam Baqir alayhi salam, he also knew about what happened to Hazrat Muslim ibn Aqil. This Imam is so relevant for the Shias. This Imam is so important for the Shias. He's been given that title of Baqir al-Ulum. His name is Muhammad. He's been given that title of Baqir al-Ulum. What does that mean? Baqir al-Ulum means the one who brings out knowledge out of the kernel. Meaning what? When you have a seed, what sprouts from that seed? There's a sprout that comes out of that seed. Where that sprout comes out of, within that seed, that is that kernel. Imam Baqir alayhi salam, he's the one who brought out knowledge from the kernel, the way that these seeds, they sprout. That's Imam Baqir, Baqir al-Ulum. Imam Baqir alayhi salam, he brought out so many sciences. Before Imam Baqir alayhi salam's time, people didn't know about all of these sciences. Before Imam Baqir alayhi salam's time, Baqirin Sadiqin, Imam Baqir alayhi salam, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, both of them have been given these titles. Why? Because of the knowledge that they were spreading. It's sad that we have two Imams that are known as Baqirin Sadiqin, the ones that split knowledge, the ones that were truthful. But when it comes to knowledge, how many of us are actually knowledgeable about the Imam that we're speaking about tonight? When it comes for truthfulness, how many of us actually apply truthfulness the way Imam Baqir alayhi salam has told us to apply truthfulness? The biography of these Imams, the life of these Imams is not just for us to read and gloss over. No. It's for us to get lessons from and apply those lessons to our life. If we don't apply those lessons to our life, then reading about them becomes useless. What does knowledge mean? Imam Baqir, what is knowledge? Is it just information? No. Imam Baqir was the one who said that knowledge is information that is put into practice. That's what knowledge is. Information that is put into practice. That's what knowledge is. Imam Baqir, if I was to ask anyone, can you tell me at least one narration from Imam Baqir, except for the one I just recited? One narration from Imam Baqir, many people wouldn't know. If I was to ask, can you tell me one mu'jiza of Imam Baqir, many people wouldn't know. They would know, yes, He lived through Karbala. They would know, yes, he is the son of Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam. They'd know, yes, he's the father of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. Imam Bakr alayhi salam, the knowledge that he left us is so important. Why? Because one, the students that he had. From Imam Bakr alayhi salam's time, that was the very, what the Shias can say, that was the very first madrasa that existed, the very first university in Islam that existed. Imam Bakr alayhi salam's time. Narrations state what? Over 5,000 students used to come to Masjid Nabawi to learn from Imam Bakr alayhi salam. And these students, they weren't just Shias. No. You had students of other schools of thought. You had people that did not even believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala come and listen to the lectures of Imam Bakr alayhi salam and then become Muslim. Imam Bakr alayhi salam. If you look at a lot of the narrations we have, especially if you look at the narrations we have about what happened in the time of the previous prophets, they come from Imam Bakr alayhi salam. They come from Imam Bakr alayhi salam. Yet we don't know this. Why? Studies have been done, and I spoke about this just quickly last night when we were doing Majlis, that the average person spends 6.5 hours on their cell phone. Studies have already been done. The average person spends 6.5 hours browsing on their cell phone, and that doesn't include work-related stuff. From that 6.5 hours, 2.5 hours is spent just scrolling through social media. 2.5 hours is spent scrolling through social media. Can you imagine how much knowledge we would have if we spent those 2.5 hours on the life of Imam Bakr alayhi salam? On the life of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam? On the life of any of the Imams? 2.5 hours. Understand how long 2.5 hours is. That's us. Imam Bakr alayhi salam, he gave us so much. I said, in terms of the previous prophets, a lot of the stories of the previous prophets, they come from Imam Bakr alayhi salam. For example, the story of Hazrat Nuh alayhi salam into existence. When this next generation comes into existence, then I'll do what I need to do. But because I'm resting now, this is the favor that you did for me. You allowed, first and foremost, remember me when you're alone with a woman. One. This isn't to Hazrat Nuh. He's saying it to Hazrat Nuh so Hazrat Nuh can propagate it to the people. What's the second? He goes, the second is, remember me when you need to judge between two people. Remember me when you need to judge between two people. Remember me when you're alone with a woman. Why did Iblis, why did Shaitan, he say these two things? When you're judging between two people, this is where Shaitan comes and starts inciting you. What do I mean? If you have to judge between a friend and someone that you dislike, who are you going to take the side of? Your friend. Your friend. Remember me when you're alone with a woman. Why? Because when you're alone, that's where all of these thoughts, they start to come into your mind. Then he goes, what is the third? Remember me when you're angry. This is something for everyone. Remember me when you're angry. Why? Because when you're angry, everything comes out. When you're angry, the words that you want to keep hidden, they come out. It's Imam Bakr alayhi salam. It's Imam Bakr alayhi salam. He's the one. Imam Ali alayhi salam said this too. Imam Bakr alayhi salam, he said this too. That you don't know how intelligent a person is until they speak. You don't know how intelligent a person is until they speak. Imam Bakr, he says what? Another narration from him. He says that this tongue, as long as it's held, as long as it's kept quiet, it will benefit you. As long as it's held back, as long as it's kept quiet, it will benefit you. How many of us do that? Not many. No. It's Imam Bakr, he gave us all of this. What did Imam, these are narrations. What was one narration of Imam Bakr? Knowledge is information that is put into practice. If you want to see Imam Baqir put all of these narrations into practice, look at his life. People would come and curse his forefathers. Imam Baqir quiet. Imam Baqir, he asked, what is the best form of worship? Prayer? No. Reading Quran? No. Hajj? No. Giving zakat? No. Narrations from Imam Baqir, one narration says that he said the best form of worship is tafakkur. The best form of worship is reflection. Reflecting. Reflecting on what? That's the question. Reflecting on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Reflecting on your religion. That's the best form of worship. One. When we reflect, what do we reflect on? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? No. We reflect on how much money I made today. We reflect on what problems we had today. We reflect on what problems we will have tomorrow. This is what we reflect on. Imam Baqir, he's the one who said, one of the best forms of worship is to be sincere in your worship. To have sincerity in your worship. Worship without sincerity becomes useless. Imam Baqir, all of these narrations from Imam Baqir, you see that he practiced everything that he said. When it comes to the life of Imam Baqir, it's not something just to gloss over. If you look at the life, one of the best things that you can give is charity. Imam Baqir, in his lifetime, what would he do? From amongst his students, he had some students that he would teach certain subjects to. Why? Because he knew that this student, their mind was geared towards fiqh, so he would teach them more fiqh. He knew that this student of his mind was going more towards tafsir of Quran, he would teach them tafsir of Quran. He knew that this student, their mind is more geared towards debating, he would teach them the art of debate. He knew that this student's mind is more geared towards chemistry, he would teach them chemistry. Learn something from Imam Baqir, everyone that has children. Everyone that has children. See what your child mind goes towards. Encourage them. Obviously, when we talk about this halal avenues, encourage them. There's no need to force them to all become a doctor. There's no need to force them all to become engineers. There's no need to force them. No. See where their mind goes towards. And then what should you do? You should cultivate that. Cultivate that. Imam Baqir is doing that with his students. From amongst his students, he had some students that even until now, when it comes to narrations, all the fuqaha, they say that if a narration, for example, comes from Zurara, you do not doubt it. If a narration comes from Aban ibn Taghlib, you do not doubt it. If a narration is coming from Jabir, you do not doubt it. Meaning what? If these narrations are coming from the Imam through these individuals, there is no doubt in those narrations. For Aban, Imam Baqir, he said to Aban, Aban, I want you to sit in the mosque and give out your opinions. I want you to sit in the mosque and give your opinions. Why? I love to see people like you amongst my Shia. I love to see people like you amongst my Shia. At the end of the day, is that not what we all want? For the Imam of our time to say that I love to see amongst my Shia people like you. That's what we all want. He tells Aban, be in the masjid and give out your fatwas, your opinions. That's what a fatwa is, the opinion of the faqih. You have so many people here that say, you know what? Taqleed, you're not allowed. No, in the time of Imam Baqir, he was telling people, follow what Aban says. Do what Aban tells you to do. Why? Because his opinion is my opinion. His opinion. As long as the opinion of that individual is the opinion, the same opinion of the Masoom, you can follow that person. You have Aban on one side. On the other side, in the time of Imam Sadiq al-Islam, in the time of Imam Sadiq al-Islam, you have who? Abu Hanifa. When Abu Hanifa comes to meet Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, he says to him, Abu Hanifa, I hear that you give your opinion and you don't give my opinion. Is that true? He goes, yes. He goes, yes. That's when Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, he gets angry at him. And he asks him certain questions. Imam Baqir alayhi salam is telling Aban, you give your opinions. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam is trying to tell Abu Hanifa, don't give your opinions. Why? Because they're wrong. Don't give your opinions. Why? Because they're wrong. So what does this mean? As long as the opinions of the alim are the same opinions of the imam, there's no reason that you should not accept them. What did Imam Baqir Islam, I said charity, what did Imam Baqir Islam spend on? Do you all know? He spent a lot of his money on the students. He spent a lot, to such an extent that he tells his son Imam Sadiq alayhi salam that even after I pass away, you spend money on them also. On students. Why? Because it's these students that are propagating the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why. What do we get from Imam Baqir alayhi salam? From Imam Baqir alayhi salam, we get the importance of ziyarah. 20 million, 30 million, 40 million people, they go for ziyarat of Imam Hussain alayhi salam every year. There was a man who came from Khurasan. When Imam Baqir alayhi salam, he sees him, he sees that his feet, they're cracked open. When he sees the cracks in his feet, he asks him, he goes, what is this? And the man, he goes, Ya Ibn Rasulullah, I walked here just only and only to see you. Because of the love that I have for you. The man is coming from Khurasan, Imam is in Medina. Imam is in Medina. I've come all the way from Khurasan to come and see you. When Imam Baqir Islam, he hears this, he tells this man, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you, and your reward is going to be that you will be raised up with us on the day of judgment. Importance of ziyarat. You will be raised with us on the day of judgment. This man, he goes, Ya Ibn Rasulullah, is this really true? I'll really be raised up with you all? He goes, I swear you will be raised up with us on the day of judgment. And he goes, what is Islam other than love for us Ahlul Bayt? Is Islam anything other than the love of us Ahlul Bayt? The importance of ziyarah. From where? Imam Baqir Islam. This is how important this Imam is. Yet we don't take the time to read about this person. Imam Baqir Islam, so much knowledge was given in his time. So much knowledge. So many incidents happened in the time of Imam Baqir Islam. One of his companions that he had, Jabir al-Jofi. Jabir al-Jofi was such a companion of Imam Baqir Islam that he said to everyone that Jabir al-Jofi, he's the Salman of this time. He's the Salman of this time. Why? Because of the ma'rifat of the Imam that Jabir had. Because of the love of the Imam that Jabir had. If you want to know what it truly means to have love of the Ahlul Bayt, look at Jabir. Jabir, one of the years he came back from Hajj. He lived in Kufa. When he came back from Hajj towards Kufa, Imam is where? In Medina. Before Jabir reaches Kufa, he says that there was a very tall figure, a very tall man. He came to me, he handed me a letter. And I asked him, who sent this letter? He says, Imam Muhammad Baqir, he sent this letter. He goes, when did he send it? He goes, just now. When did you leave with it? Look at the questions he's asking because he understands who this messenger is. When did you leave with this letter? He goes, a few moments ago. Did you leave before prayer or did you leave after prayer? Where is he coming from? Medina. Where is he coming to? Towards Kufa. He goes, I just left moments ago. He opens the letter and Jabir, he reads it and he sees that the ink is still wet. He sees that the ink is still wet. That's when he understood who this individual was. As soon as this individual gives the letter, he goes back. He disappears from the eyesight. Jabir, he reads the letter a second time. When the first time, because he got a letter from the Imam, he was very happy, he was reading it. Then he reads it a second time. Then he reads it a third time. By the time he read it a third time, the narration says that his face changed. Meaning the happiness from his face, it left. When he gets to Kufa, what is it that Jabir does? The second day that he was in Kufa, he starts acting like he has become insane. He starts acting like he has become insane. What did he do? He starts taking a stick and he starts riding it and acting as if this stick is his donkey. And he starts playing with children. Can you imagine a 50-year-old playing with children? What would you say about them? You say that this person is not right in the head. This is what Jabir was doing. Why did Jabir do this? Because that letter that the Imam had sent him, in that letter it was told to Jabir, Jabir, I want you to do this. This is what it means to love the Imam. This is what it means, ita'at of the Imam of the time. This is what it means. You do not ask any questions. When the Imam says do, you do. That's it. Please understand, there's a difference between taqleed and ita'at. I want to clarify that. In taqleed, there's why. In taqleed, there is why. In ata'at, there's no why. There's no why. In ita'at, there is no why. In taqleed, there's why. And if you ever go to Najaf, you ever go to Qum, you see that in the Dars of Hadith that happens, all of the students that are sitting in front of the Majah, they're asking why. They're asking, how did you come to this conclusion? This is taqleed. Ita'at is no. They tell you to do, you do. That's ita'at. And ita'at is of a masoom, or an individual the masoom says that you do ita'at of. That's it. So this idea that we do ita'at of Maraja, no, we do taqleed of Maraja. This idea that no, I don't do taqleed of any Maraja, I do taqleed of Imam Zaman alayhi salam. Everyone should know. This idea that I do taqleed of Imam Zaman alayhi salam, you're putting down the status of Imam Zaman alayhi salam. If you don't say I do ita'at of Imam Zaman alayhi salam and you say I do taqleed of Imam Zaman alayhi salam, that means what? That means that when Imam tells you to do something, you say why. That's what it means. That's what taqleed means. Please understand that. When Imam tells you to do, and you say I do taqleed of Imam, and he says to do something in taqleed, why? But if you say I do ita'at of the Imam, there is no why. That's what Jabir does. Imam, he wrote down, Jabir, I want you to do this. There's no why. The next day, Jabir does that. But why did Jabir have to do that? Because the same day that Jabir got to Kufa, the Khalifa of the time, he sent a letter to the governor of Kufa saying that I want you to kill a man by the name of Jabir Jofi. I want you to kill a man by the name of Jabir Jofi. The governor, he didn't know who Jabir was. So he asked around, who's Jabir Jofi? The people, they tell him, oh governor, Jabir Jofi, he's a very great narrator. But he had just come back, Khalifa. I saw the man that you want me to kill, but the man is insane. The man has gone insane. So what did the Imam actually do? The Imam actually saves Jabir's life by telling him to go insane. Ask yourself, if the Imam of your time tells you to do that, would you do that? In the time of Imam Ali al-Islam, Imam Ali al-Islam, when people came to Imam Ali saying, Ya Ali, rise, we're with you, he told them, all I want you to do is cut off your hair, shave your head. Shave your head. 6 people shaved it, 6 people didn't. The next day when they come, Imam Ali al-Islam, he looks at all of them and he says, you're ready to cut your heads for me? You can't even cut your hair for me. You're saying that you're going to cut your head for me. Ita'at. Ita'at, it means that you don't ask why, you just do it. That's what it is. You look at the life of Imam Baqir al-Islam. So many miracles in his life. 70, Jabir, he himself, he says that Imam Baqir al-Islam, he gave him 70,000 narrations and he told Jabir, Jabir, do not narrate these narrations as long as I'm alive. And Jabir, he tells the Imam, Ya Ibn Rasulullah, it becomes a burden for me. All of this ilm that you've given me, it becomes a burden for me. If I don't share it with people, what should I do? Imam, he tells him, Jabir, if you want to share it, do not share it with the people. What should you do? Go out into the desert, dig a hole, put your head in that hole, and say to the ground that my master Baqir al-Ulum has said this narration, and repeat that narration. Why did Jabir do 70,000 narrations? Why? When you look at the narrations and you look at the miracles that came from Imam Baqir al-Islam, you see that there were people that were known to be devout companions of Imam Baqir. They couldn't handle his miracles. They couldn't handle his miracles. Abu Basir, for example, Jabir Jofi used to tell Abu Basir that Imam Baqir al-Islam, he did Fulan Mujiza. He did Fulan Mujiza. And Abu Basir, he wouldn't believe him. He went to the Imam and he complained to the Imam. He says, Ya Ibn Rasulullah, please can you tell Jabir Jofi not to say these things? He goes, what does he say? Mujizat al Muhammad. It's in Urdu, it's in English, it's in Arabic, it's in Farsi. All these languages. By Sayyid Hashim Bahrani. Jabir, he says, one day when we wanted to go to Hajj, Imam Baqir al-Islam, he takes some mud and he makes an elephant. He makes an elephant. The same thing Nabila Isa did to that bird. Imam Baqir al-Islam did the same thing to that elephant that he made, and that elephant came to life. Narration, miracle of Imam Baqir al-Islam. And Jabir, he says to Abu Basir that me and the Imam, we sat on that elephant and we went for Hajj. No, not that the elephant was walking on the land. No, Jabir says that that elephant flew us to Hajj. When he came and told Abu Basir, he looks at him and he goes, Jabir, stop lying. He goes back to Imam and he tells the Imam, Ya Ibn Rasulullah, tell Jabir not to say stuff like this because it degrades you. Look at the marifat Abu Basir has, look at the marifat that Jabir Jofi has. Look at the marifat. Imam, he looks at Abu Basir, he goes, what did he tell you? He goes, Ya Ibn Rasulullah, he told me this about this elephant. Imam Baqir, he looks at him and he goes, Abu Basir, do you also want me to take you on that same type of Hajj? Do you also want me to take you on that same type of Hajj? He goes, Ya Ibn Rasulullah, because if you want, I can do it. Abu Basir, do you not know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us? Do you not know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us? Abu Basir, you need to understand one thing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has given us a rope. When we tug on that rope, we really don't need to go anywhere. All we need to do is we tug on that rope and the land comes to us. The land comes to us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us this authority. We go to that land. When the land comes to us, we do what we need to do and we send it back. Imam Baqir al-Islam. You had people like this. Jabir ibn Abdullah Ansari, for example. He's the one who sent salam to Imam Baqir al-Islam from the Holy Prophet. Jabir ibn Abdullah Ansari, he lived during the time of the Holy Prophet. The Holy Prophet, he told Jabir, oh Jabir, you're going to live to see my great grandson, Baqir. His name will be Baqir al-Ulum. When you meet him, send him my salam. Send him my salam. He does. This man, by the time he came to the time of Imam Baqir al-Islam, he had become blind. He had become blind. But he was a faqih. Please understand the difference between a faqih and an arif. Jabir ibn Abdullah Ansari, he was a faqih. He was a faqih. Jabir Jofi, he was not just a faqih, but he was an arif. What's the difference? A faqih knows the imam zahiran, knows what imamat is zahiran. An Arif knows what imamat is batinan. An Arif knows the esoteric meaning of imamat. An Arif knows exactly what the imam truly is.
Subhanallah.
Jabir, by the time he comes to Imam Baqir, they're on Hajj. An imam, he tells Jabir, Jabir, do you want me to show you something? Because Jabir, what? He puts his hand on Jabir's eyes. When he puts his hand on Jabir's eyes, his eyesight comes back. When he comes back, Imam, he tells him, Jabir, tell me, do you want to keep your eyesight or do you want me to take it away again? He goes, Mullah, what do you want me to do? He goes, Jabir, understand one thing. On the day of judgment, you will be asked about everything that your eyes have seen. On the day of judgment, you will be asked about everything that your eyes have seen also. As soon as he says this, Jabir, he says, Mullah, then take away my eyesight. Take away my eyesight. But Jabir, what was he? He wasn't an Arif. He was a faqih. After that incident, then he starts understanding what imamat is. Imamat isn't what a lot of people think, that it's just a leader. No. This is the imam that was sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This isn't imamat that is set by human beings. This is imamat that is set by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's a difference between the two. The imamat that is set by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that imam, he comes with what? He comes with miracles to prove that he is sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's what all of these imams did. You look at the life of Imam Baqir Islam. It's not just something for you and I to just quickly read and go over. Look at the debate that Imam Baqir Islam, sallallahu alaihi Muhammad. One more time.
Salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
There's a debate that Imam Baqir Islam had. Towards the end of his lifetime, you have to understand that Khilafat was not in Medina at that time. Khilafat was in Sham. Towards the end of his lifetime, Imam Baqir Islam, he was brought to Sham. When he was brought to Sham, he sees that there are people that are going up towards the mountain. So he asks the people of Sham, what's going on? And they tell him, Ya Rasulullah, every year, just for one day, this Christian hermit, he comes out from where he lives and he tells the people and he answers people's questions. And the Imam asks him, is this person knowledgeable? They go, yes, this person is. And this just happens to be that day. So the Imam, he tells them, okay, let's go see him. When he goes, Imam Baqir Islam, he is with everyone else. The Christian man, he sees him and he asks him, are you a Christian or are you from the Muslims? Imam Baqir Islam, he says that I'm from the Muslims. I'm from the Muslims. Are you of the knowledgeable or are you of the ignorant? Imam, he replies, I'm not ignorant. He says, I'm not ignorant. The person who's been given that title of Baqir al-Ulum, who has the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he doesn't come out and say, I'm knowledgeable. Why? Because he himself knows that even though he has 71 asma of Asma al-Azam, there's one that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has kept to himself. And because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has kept that to himself, this individual still cannot say, I am alim. This individual still does not say that I am alim. Yet, you have people that have studied maybe 1 year, 2 years, 7 years, 10 years, doesn't matter. These people, they come and they say that yes, we're knowledgeable, we're ulama, with faqr. No. Humility. Imam Baqir Islam, knowledge without humility leads to destruction. Why? Because if you do not have humility, what ends up coming? Arrogance takes the place of humility. Knowledge with arrogance, it leads to destruction. Knowledge without spirituality, it leads to destruction. Imam Baqir said, knowledge without spirituality, it leads to destruction. Spirituality without knowledge, it leads you astray.
Mhm.
Give you an example. Knowledge without spirituality, it leads you to destruction. It leads to arrogance. Look at the world that we live in today. Look at the society that we live in today. There's knowledge, but there's no spirituality. Because there's no spirituality, it's become arrogant. It's become arrogant. You look at the Quran, you look at previous poems in the Quran. Samud, for example, Ad, for example, these people, they had knowledge. Can you imagine how much knowledge you would need to start building houses within mountains? How much power you would need to build houses within mountains? Today, it takes so much power to break down a mountain. At that time, before Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam, they're building houses within mountains. What technology did they have? They must have had some sort of technology to build houses within mountains. They had power, but they became arrogant. They had knowledge, they became arrogant. You look at the other side, where knowledge or spirituality without knowledge, it leads you astray. Where do you find this? You look at the time of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Look at the time of Amir al-Mu'mineen. One of the groups that he fought were the Khawarij. These Khawarij, when it came to spirituality, the narrations, they state that they used to have marks of prostration on their forehead. These Khawarij, when it came to spirituality, it says that they used to tie rocks around their stomach just so they wouldn't have to hear their stomach grumble. Why? Because they would fast throughout the day. These Khawarij, they would be up all night praying. Spirituality. But there was no knowledge. If they had knowledge, they would know, one, who their Imam is. Who their Imam is. It was these Khawarij that the Imam fought against. Why? What was their slogan? La hukum illa lillah. That was their slogan. There is no room or there's no rule except for the rule of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They didn't know what that rule of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not. Imam Ali, he says that the slogan is correct, but the meaning they take out of that slogan is wrong. What was the meaning that they were taking? The meaning that they were taking was that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's the only one who's going to rule. Meaning He needs to physically rule. That's the meaning. Imam Ali, he says the slogan is correct, but the meaning is wrong. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not have a body that He's going to come here and physically rule. Prophet is completely ended. Now Imamat is running. That rule is going to be through Imamat now. They didn't understand. Spirituality without knowledge leads you astray. Imam Baqir al-Islam. You see that today too? People pray. They don't know why they pray. The only reason that they say is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us to. Understand that Islam is more than that. Islam is more than that. When it comes to the prayer, the qiyam in prayer, it has a meaning. The ruku in prayer, it has a meaning. The act, it has a, not what you say. No, the act itself. When you put your hands on your knees and you say Subhan Rabbil Azimi wa bihamdih, that act, that ruku has a meaning. The sajda has a meaning. Getting up from that first sajda has a meaning. The second sajda has a different meaning. When you get up from that second sajda, that getting up has a different meaning. How many of us, when we pray, we know the meanings of all of these actions? No, we don't. We probably didn't even know that, yes, these actions have meanings. And these actions do have meanings. One meaning, for example, that second sajda that people do. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, he's the one who tells us what the meanings of these acts are. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he says, for example, that second sajda that you do, that's all for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But that second sajda is you being on the day of judgment. You're in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment. Meaning, as long as you're in that sajda, day of judgment is in front of you. Day of judgment is in front of you. When you start understanding these narrations and you connect them with the Ahlul Bayt, then you begin to understand how great the Ahlul Bayt are. What do I mean? Everyone's heard. From when we were young, everyone's heard this narration that the Holy Prophet is in a sajda. Abu Abdullah Hussain he comes on the back of the Holy Prophet and he sits on the back of the Holy Prophet. He sits on the back of the Holy Prophet. That second sajda, what is the meaning of that second sajda? The meaning of that second sajda is what? That it represents the day of judgment. As long as Imam Hussain is on the back of the Holy Prophet is still as if he's on the day of judgment. And what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to the Holy Prophet, do not pick your head up until Abu Abdullah Hussain comes out of you. This isn't as if this is my day of judgment. No. This is the day of judgment for the Holy Prophet. Meaning what? Meaning that Abu Abdullah Hussain, what has he done? He has paused the day of judgment for the Holy Prophet. As long as Imam Hussain is on the back of the Holy Prophet, that day of judgment will continue to go on for the Holy Prophet. That's what that, when you begin to understand what these acts mean in these forms of worship, then you start loving that worship. Then you start loving that worship. But we don't know what these acts mean. Where are we going to get this from? Imam Baqir Islam. Imam Baqir Islam, he comes to this Christian. The Christian man, when he asked him, are you knowledgeable or are you ignorant? He goes, I'm not ignorant. Then he asked him, should I ask you a few questions or do you want to ask me a few questions? And that's when this Christian man, he goes, I'll ask you a few questions. And that's when Imam Baqir Islam, he goes, if you want to ask me questions, no problem, you can ask me questions. He says that you Muslims, there's some things that I want to understand from you. He goes, what is it? He goes, give me, you Muslims, you say that in heaven you can eat whatever you want and it's not going to lessen. Is there something that is analogous to that here on earth? Is there something that is analogous? How can it be that you can eat whatever you want and it doesn't lessen? It just becomes more and more. He goes, yes, there is. He goes, what is it? He goes, a fire. Imam, he goes, a fire. He goes, how so? A fire, when you put something else to that fire, the fire will grow. If you take one candle, you put it to another candle, now you have 2 fires. You put it to the third candle, you have 3. It doesn't end. The fire does not end. He goes, I have another question. He goes, what is it? You say that you can eat whatever you want, but when you eat something, it needs to come out. How is it that in heaven you can eat whatever you want, but there's no word that it comes out? Is there something analogous to that here on earth? He goes, yes, there is. He goes, what is it? He goes, can you tell me, when an infant is in the womb of the mother, it eats and drinks whatever it wants. Where does it go? Subhanallah. That's analogous. Then the Christian man, he asked him, can you tell me about those 2 individuals? Those 2 individuals that were born the same day, but when they died, one was 50 and the other was 100. They born the same day, they died the same day, but one was 50, the other was 100. Can you tell me about those? And do you know who those are? He goes, yes, I do. He goes, that was Uzair and his brother. That was Uzair. When it comes to Uzair, Prophet Uzair al-Islam, the narrations, they say that he had taken his camel and he was going towards for some work, and he passes by a valley and he sees that there's nothing but skeletons in that valley. So he says, Ya Allah, how are you going to raise these individuals? How are you going to raise the dead? When he says this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala The narrations, it says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He took his life. The donkey's life, everything. 100 years later, they come back to life. When they come back to life, the food that he had taken 100 years prior, it's still just as warm, it's still just as good. The food that he had taken. For those hundreds of years, or for that 100 years, Hazrat Uzair alayhi salam, he is a prophet. He's a prophet. His life has been taken. For that 100 years, next to Hazrat Uzair alayhi salam is his donkey. Next to Hazrat Uzair alayhi salam is his donkey. It's not necessary that everyone that's buried next to a prophet needs to be a human being. It's not necessary. No. They're buried next to the prophet, they must have such a high status. We'll find out what their status is when Imam Zaman alayhi salam comes. But Hazrat Uzair alayhi salam, when he comes back to life, when he goes back to the city, no one recognizes him. When he goes to the city, he goes to meet his brother. His brother doesn't recognize him. When he starts telling him about incidents that were happening in their lifetime, in their childhood, that's when Hazrat Uzair's brother, he asks him, "Are you Uzair?" And he says, "Yes, I'm him." They died at the same time. When they died at the same time, and Imam Baqir, he tells this Christian man that's when this Christian man, he gets upset with all the other Christians, and he says to them, "The only reason you brought this Muslim was so I would be degraded in your eyes. The only reason you brought this Muslim man was so that I would be degraded in your eyes." So what does he do? He tells them to leave. He leaves himself, and he wasn't seen after that. He wasn't seen after that. Imam Baqir alayhi salam. Debates of Imam Baqir alayhi salam, please read them. Tonight, we're gathered for what? The Shahadat of Imam Baqir alayhi salam. And I had said that this Imam, he lived through, when they were leaving Medina to Makkah, this was known as the caravan of Abu Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam. From Medina to Makkah, caravan of Abu Abdullah. From Makkah to Karbala, the caravan of Abu Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam. But when they were leaving Karbala, this was not the caravan of Abu Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam. This was the caravan of Zainab al-Kubra. And in this caravan, yes, in the beginning you had people such as Abul Fazl Abbas alayhi salam. You had people such as the companions of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. These people, they accompanied Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Imam Baqir alayhi salam, he accompanied his father Imam Zain al-Abidin. Can you imagine what he saw on the 10th of Ashur? Imam Baqir alayhi salam. When Imam Zain al-Abidin passes away, Imam Baqir alayhi salam, he is the one who's burying him. When Imam Baqir alayhi salam is about to pass away, the narrations, they say that Imam Baqir alayhi salam, he goes to his aunt. He goes to his aunt and he tells his aunt, "Oh auntie dear, 58 years of my life have passed." All he had to say was just this one word. When he says this one word, his auntie, she starts to cry because she understood what he was saying. And when she starts to cry, Imam Baqir alayhi salam, he tells his son, Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam, "Ya Sadiq, I want you to bury me. Ya Jafar, I want you to give me the kafan. Ya Jafar, I want you to do the dafan." It was Imam Sadiq alayhi salam who took care of all of this. Brothers and sisters, this is Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. When you look at his father Imam Baqir alayhi salam and Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, there's no one that slapped Imam Sadiq alayhi salam when he cries over Imam Baqir alayhi salam. There's no one that is hurting Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. There's no one that has put chains on the hands of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. There's no one preventing him from crying over his father Imam Baqir alayhi salam. But brothers and sisters, when you come to Karbala, you see Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam. You see Lady Sakina salawatullah alayha, when she cries over her father, she is being slapped. You see Imam Baqir alayhi salam, when he's crying about what's happening, he is being slapped. You see that they're being dragged from Karbala. Brothers and sisters, when these people are being taken to Karbala, there comes a time when they get to Kufa, Lady Zainab, she gets up in the middle of the night and she says one time, looking for Imam Sajjad, she says one time, "Ya Jaddi Adrikli."
When she says this, that's when Imam Zain al-Abidin, he comes through the doors. When he comes through the doors, then she asks him, Ya Sayyid Sajjad, where were you? Imam Zain al-Abidin, he says to her, oh auntie dear, I went back to Karbala to bury my father. Brother and sister, Imam Baqir he was buried the same day that he passed away. Imam Zain al-Abidin, he's burying his father 3 days after his father passed away. He's shooting him 3 days after he passed away. When he says this, Imam, that's when Lady Zainab, she says to him, oh my son Sajjad, how did you bury my brother Hussain? Imam Zain al-Abidin, he says to her, oh auntie dear, when I went back to Karbala, I see that there were some women from the Banu Asad clan. They were crying. When I got closer, they wanted to leave. When they saw that they wanted to leave, I called out, oh my sisters, oh my mother, please do not leave. My name is Ali, and the person you're crying over, that is my father Hussain. These women, they call out, Ya Ali, we know for a fact that this is Hussain. That's what Imam Sajjad, this is how you know that this is Hussain. You recognize an individual by their head. My father does not have his head with him. And they reply, Ya Ali, for 3 nights now, we continue to hear the voice of a woman. She continues to say, oh my son Hussain, oh my son Hussain. That's when Lady Zainab, she asked him, oh my son Sajjad, how did you bury my brother Hussain? Imam Zain al-Abidin, he replied, oh auntie dear, I saw that when I wanted to give that body down into the grave, there was no one there to receive it. I see that when I step into the grave myself, there's no one there to receive that body. Oh Sajjad, what is it that you did? Oh auntie dear, I got out of the grave and I turned towards Najaf and I called out, Ya Jatti Adrikni. Oh grandfather dear, please, I want you to help me. As soon as I say this, there are 2 arms that come out of the grave, and when I see those 2 arms, I hand this body of Abu Abdullah Hussain into these 2 arms. Ya Sajjad, were they the 2 arms of my grandfather Ali? No, auntie dear, they were not the hands of my grandfather Ali. They were the hands of my grandmother Fatima. Brothers and sisters, we're also commemorating what the Shahadat of Hazrat Muslim ibn Aqil, the Shahadat of Hazrat Muslim. When the Imam Hussain he hears about the Shahadat of Hazrat Muslim on their way to Karbala, when they hear the Shahadat of Hazrat Muslim, what did they do? If Hazrat Muslim he's being taken up to the masjid, he's being taken up to the rooftop for him to be killed. When he's being taken up to the rooftop, what did he do? He tells the governor that I want you to do 3 things. What is it? I have some debts that I want you to pay back. I want you to sell my armor. I want you to sell my shield and pay off those debts. What's the second thing? The second thing is that I don't want you to do anything to my body. As soon as you kill me, I want you to bury my body. What's the third thing? The third thing I want you to do is write a letter to Abu Abdullah Hussain and tell him not to come here. That's when the governor says, Ya Muslim, in regards to your debt, I will have it paid off. But in regards to the other 2 things, I will not do any of those 2 things. And the narrations, they say that when Muslim was being taken up to the rooftop, he was given some water. That water, he tries to drink it, but when he wants to drink it, what happens? Blood goes into it. He throws that water away, another cup is brought. He throws that water away, another cup is brought. When it happens the 3rd time, he looks at that water and he says to himself, now I know that I have to leave from this world thirsty. When he gets to the top, he turns towards Medina and he says one last time, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. When he says this last salam, brothers and sisters, the narrations, they say that Imam Hussain he gets up from his seat and he says, Wa alayka salam ya akhi. When he says it, Mawla Abbas, he looks at Imam Hussain, he says, Ya Mawla, who did you just send this salam to? When Mawla Abbas says this, Imam Hussain he says, Ya Abbas, look through my fingers, look at what's happening to Muslim. When he sees what's happening to Muslim, he sees that he's being taken up. And he sees that he's about to be killed. And when he sees this Mawla Abbas, he tells Mawla Hussain, Ya Hussain, please send me there right now and I will rescue Muslim ibn Aqil. Imam Hussain, he says, no Abbas, this is the test of Hazrat Muslim. When Hazrat Muslim is killed, what does Imam Hussain do? He calls the children of Hazrat Muslim and he puts his hand on top of their head and he says to them, As-salam, may peace be upon you, O my daughter. May peace be upon you, O my son. When he says this to them, the children of Hazrat Muslim, they say, oh uncle dear, you're putting your head on top of our heads as if we've lost our father. That's what Imam Hussain he says to them, that I am your father now, you do not have to worry about anything. Brothers and sisters, when Hazrat Muslim was martyred, what did they do? The narrations, they state that when the caravan of Lady Zainab is now coming to Kufa, she hears a voice, and that voice, it says, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. When she hears this voice, she looks here, she looks there, she doesn't know where this voice is coming from. Then she hears the voice, Assalamu alayka ya bint Rasulallah. She hears the voice that says, oh, may peace be upon you, ya bint Rasulallah. She looks here, she looks there. Then what does she do? She looks up the gate of Kufa, and she sees that there's a headless body there. And she sees that that voice is coming from that headless body. When she asks that headless body, oh, sir, who are you? That's when that headless body says, oh, my sister Zainab, do you not recognize me? I am your brother Muslim. I've been waiting here for over a month for you to come here.
Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Wal'anat ala al-qawm al-kafirin. Matam Hussain.
زینب کا تجھ سے وعدہ ہے بھائی دنیا میں تیرا ماتم رہے گا زینب کا تجھ سے وعدہ ہے بھائی دنیا میں تیرا ماتم رہے گا زینب کا تجھ سے وعدہ ہے بھائی دنیا میں تیرا ماتم رہے گا زینب کا تجھ سے وعدہ ہے بھائی دنیا میں تیرا ماتم رہے گا بے وارثی ہو یا بردائی بے وارثی ہو یا بردائی دنیا میں تیرا ماتم رہے گا زینب کا تجھ سے وعدہ ہے بھائی دنیا میں تیرا ماتم رہے گا زینب کا تجھ سے وعدہ ہے بھائی دنیا میں تیرا ماتم رہے گا پرچم اٹھا کر غازی کا اپنے پورے کروں گی میں تیرے وعدے پرچم اٹھا کر غازی کا اپنے پورے کروں گی میں تیرے وعدے پورے کروں گی میں تیرے وعدے بابا کریں گے مشکل کشائی دنیا میں تیرا ماتم رہے گا زینب کا تجھ سے وعدہ ہے بھائی دنیا میں تیرا ماتم رہے گا زینب کا تجھ سے وعدہ ہے بھائی دنیا میں تیرا ماتم رہے گا پیغام تیرا مٹنے نہ دوں گی پیاسی رہوں گی پیدل چلوں گی پیغام تیرا مٹنے نہ دوں گی پیاسی رہوں گی پیدل چلوں گی پیاسی رہوں گی پیدل چلوں گی مظلومیت کی بن کر گواہی دنیا میں تیرا ماتم رہے گا زینب کا تجھ سے وعدہ ہے بھائی دنیا میں تیرا ماتم رہے گا زینب کا تجھ سے وعدہ ہے بھائی دنیا میں تیرا ماتم رہے گا اوڑوں گی سر پر اس وقت چادر لے لوں گی بدلہ جب ہے برادر اوڑوں گی سر پر اس وقت چادر لے لوں گی بدلہ جب ہے برادر لے لوں گی بدلہ جب ہے برادر کہتی ہے تجھ سے زہرا کی جائی دنیا میں تیرا ماتم رہے گا زینب کا تجھ سے وعدہ ہے بھائی دنیا میں تیرا ماتم رہے گا زینب کا تجھ سے وعدہ ہے بھائی دنیا میں تیرا ماتم رہے گا چادر کے بدلے سر لوں گی اس کا مجلس کی خاطر گھر لوں گی اس کا چادر کے بدلے سر لوں گی اس کا مجلس کی خاطر گھر لوں گی اس کا مجلس کی خاطر گھر لوں گی اس کا نسل یزیدی دے گی دہائی دنیا میں تیرا ماتم رہے گا زینب کا تجھ سے وعدہ ہے بھائی دنیا میں تیرا ماتم رہے گا زینب کا تجھ سے وعدہ ہے بھائی دنیا میں تیرا ماتم رہے گا یا حسین 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 محمد وآل محمد صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم
السلام علیکم یا رسول اللہ السلام علیکم یا امیر المومنین السلام علیکم یا صدیقۃ فاطمہ الزہرا سیدۃ النساء العالمین السلام علیکم مولانا حسن المجتبی السلام علیکم مولانا غریب الغرباء یا ابا عبداللہ السلام علیکم مولانا علی ابن الحسین السلام علیکم مولانا محمد ابن علی السلام علیکم مولانا جعفر ابن محمد السلام علیکم مولانا موسیٰ ابن جعفر السلام علیکم مولانا علی ابن موسیٰ السلام علیکم مولانا محمد ابن علی السلام علیکم مولانا علی ابن محمد السلام علیکم مولانا حسن ابن علی السلام علیکم مولانا صاحب العرش الزمان علمان 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 من الفتن الزمان عجل اللہ تعالی فرجک و ظہورک وجعلنا من انصارک ورحمت